The worst way to use AI for bankruptcy is to try to use it as your lawyer. I think a lot of bankruptcy advice from AI is bad. And not because AI in general is bad. I love AI. I use it all the time. I teach about it. I'm a huge advocate for it. But I think the place for AI is data analysis, less legal advice. One of the things we come across often in our own use of AI and the clients, when they use AI, will often encounter as well are hallucinations. And of course, we all know about cases where lawyers are citing cases that don't exist.
We're seeing legal filings using non-existent statutes, fake judgments, and imaginary legal precedents.
Those type of hallucinations are true, but we often see clients get bad advice about exemptions. And even in our use of AI, it will hallucinate that there is a Colorado wildcard provision, something that we can kind of blanket protect a whole bunch of different assets for a client. I've worked with Colorado exemption legislation. We don't have a wild card. It's not available. And so if you're using AI to get advice, to get legal advice, please understand that it doesn't really know what it's talking about with regard to many aspects of the law. I've seen it miscite exemptions, miscite statutes. I'm on our local rules committee for the District of Colorado and just recently had a conversation with our chief judge as well as one of our other judges who indicated that they've got multiple cases that are on the verge of dismissal because the pro se debtors are repeatedly putting forward petitions, motions, other things that are drafted by AI and that are full of errors and problems. The amount of work that's being done in the court because of AI is extraordinary. And the budget is getting strained to the point of breaking. And so judges who are normally bending over backwards to assist pro se filers are finding that their patience is running short and their willingness to give, extensions, allow them to refile if things are incorrect is becoming considerably shorter. So I think we'll see, unfortunately, less willingness among the court to help people who are pro se filers if they're using AI to generate false information. It just creates a lot of havoc. So we're seeing big problems there already. I've seen several Chapter 7 trustees who have really come into a windfall because a pro se filer is using AI to calculate their exemptions or to find exemptions that protect their property, but those are exemptions that don't actually exist. And so if you've got a car worth $50,000 and you claim an exemption for it as a tool of the trade that AI told you you could use, but you don't actually qualify for that exemption, the trustee in your bankruptcy case will take that item, sell it, and use that money to pay creditors. I was on a 341 meeting call probably about 3 weeks ago and watched a trustee's eyes almost light up as the pro se client was telling him about all these different things that they were using to protect their property. And he used some restraint, but really said, none of those are actually true. They're not actually statutes under Colorado law that you can use. And those are going to be things that you need to turn over to my office. When would you like to deliver them? And watching that person's face just kind of crumble, I don't wish that on anyone. I hope that they were able to find counsel to help them perhaps convert to a 13 and hold on to those things. But there's real danger in using AI as your lawyer because they don't know the trustees, they don't know the judges. It doesn't know the rules in your particular court or the statutes that might apply to your case. That's where you need real legal advice. Filing false things with the court is the other piece that's rough. I think AI can give you bad advice on timing. There are multiple courts across the country. I just received a notice from a court in Arizona the other day that if you use AI in the generation of documents that you are filing with the court, so if you use it for drafting or for research or for anything else, they have a mandatory requirement that you disclose that. If you don't disclose that, you can be subject to having that pleading or response stricken, or you could be subject to sanctions, which could include having to pay the other attorney, the attorney on the other side, or pay into the court's fund some sort of a penalty or damage. So it's not just that you could ruin your own case, you could end up creating more liability for yourself I have a client who was sued in Arizona, used AI to draft a response to that lawsuit just to buy himself time to find a bankruptcy lawyer. And the Arizona court gave a warning, luckily, that he had clearly used AI because there were some hallucinations, and that he had failed to make a disclosure of that use as is required under their rules. And the letter that he received from the court clerk was, you have 14 days to remedy the disclosure that you didn't make and to fix the problem with the pleading. And if you don't do that, you could be subject to sanctions, including paying the attorney's fees for the other party. So there's a lot of courts are getting more sophisticated, lawyers are getting more sophisticated about how they're going to control the use of AI. And you've got to be aware of that. I think as pro se parties trying to navigate the system that's already complex, it adds a level of complexity that maybe they're not prepared for. The best way to use AI is to get general information about bankruptcy, and then you can have informed questions for your lawyer. The one piece of advice I give all of our clients is if you want specific information about your case, the first person you should ask is me. Not Claude, not Chat, not Gemini. Call your lawyer. That's what you're paying me for. If you want to see an AI analysis, I'm happy to run one for you because we have great tools here. But if you're using AI once you've hired me, you could potentially be breaching your attorney-client privilege. And that information could be discoverable by your trustee, 713, or in any other litigation that you're involved in. So use it as a tool, but don't rely on it for legal advice.